If that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills, because that's the whole thing.
How do you know?
Autocrats
tend to kill everyone, even their own supporters.
Carl Schmitt makes this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right?
Carl Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Are you a fan of the Nazis?
I frankly don't care being called a Nazi at all.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
You shouldn't
we may have to rename this show, because
but...
you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you can say, I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Start by saying I think these Jubilee debates are largely useless. This is theater. This is the World Wrestling Federation. Saw someone call this the Jerry Springer show for Gen Z, and I find that to be very appropriate. Taking 20 people who may consider crayons and Play-Doh to be an hors d'oeuvre, and you're putting them in a room with someone who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. No real debate. There's no chance of an opinion being changed, let alone heard. In this case, conversation is impossible because you have an educated man talking to people who barely know what planet they're on. I watched this entire 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I was trying to pick out stuff that I wanted to talk about. I realized how stupid and pointless that is, because this type of person will never change. They will never listen. I love what Mehdi Hasan said at the end of this. I do not debate fascists. He simply stopped talking. I think there's some subtext there, but I won't get into that. Rather than blabbering on about how these people are wrong, I want to point out one irony and give 2 movie recommendations. What this guy is doing in this video is essentially an imitation of this guy from Good Will Hunting. Straight up regurgitating the opinions of one person, and he mentions the guy's name in that clip. It's Carl Schmitt. Keep this very clear. Carl Schmitt was an intellectual and a theorist who twisted himself into believing in Nazi ideology and pushing it forward. He rode that into a position where he was an editor for a Nazi newspaper for lawyers. He defended the Night of the Long Knives when the failed painter had a lot of his friends and enemies killed simultaneously. At the end of 1936, the party turned on him and said he had gone back to his Catholic roots and that he was not anti-Semitic enough. This man was a vicious anti-Semite his entire life. The man who built his entire ideology on this friend-enemy distinction in politics and believed in one great leader who could make that determination at any point. He was expelled and investigated and would have been persecuted if it was not for Goring after he stopped being useful. You don't need thinkers or writers or theorists to theorize about the way that you're getting into power once you're already in power, right? He served his purpose. I have 2 movies that drive home my point. One of them is Oliver Hirschbiegel's Downfall. I tried to do a full review of this before the video got muted. Please just go watch the movie. This is about the end of the failed painter and his entire little regime. The movie shows the absolute delusion. It shows the way these people were still throwing parties and celebrating how they still thought they were going to win. It shows one of the most important facts about the failed painter. At the end, he said the German infrastructure should be destroyed. He gave that command. He said, since the German people could not win this war, they are a weak people and they deserve to die. This is what he said about his own people who he manipulated into power. It's almost like people that think they should be in a position like that are not of sound mind. It's like that type of power attracts the wrong leaders. What that kid is talking about in that clip, he's saying there should be one benevolent leader overall. That is what Tolkien wrote with Aragorn, right? The thing with Aragorn is, he doesn't actually fucking exist. The movie I'd like you to watch is a hilarious dark comedy. It's called The Death of Stalin from 2017. This is a wonderful piece of very British satire about what happens when someone like Stalin dies. This is one of the most scathing critiques of authoritarian rule you will ever see. It stars Steve Buscemi, Rupert Friend, Jason Isaacs, many others. It shows how the friends in that friend-enemy dichotomy that guy is talking about are fucking fake. It shows how people who rule in that way attract rats who will flatter them at every single turn. And to their face will cater to their every need out of fear. That is not a good way to rule. These systems fall apart every single time throughout history. Fear is not a good motivator in leadership. Just like you saw in Germany in Downfall, these systems eat themselves. Ironically, one of the people that seems to have taken a lot of ideas from Carl Schmitt is Vladimir Putin. Look at how Russia is run today, look at his writings and ideas, and you'll see what I mean. In the end, I just want to say, don't be scared of these people because there are simply not enough of them. Keep in mind, about 31 to 32% of the country voted for Donald Trump. Only about 60 to 65% of the country actually votes. Within that 31% of the country, know that they are very fractured. There's a lot of infighting and squabbling. I think MAGA is dead and gone. I think all of Trump's credibility died with this entire conversation around the Epstein list. He's riding a populist movement and then shit all over one of the things that that movement really cared about. I think we're being primed to see the rise of something else completely. That is JD Vance and the people that back him. That's a topic for another video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on all of this.